Welcome to our classic car in this collection of vintage and post-vintage Tourers, drophead coupes, etc, etc of the 1910s, 1920s and 1930s. And to begin with, we've got this wonderful little Colcott. These are a Coventry manufacturer. They started out producing bicycles, then motorcycles and cars. Continued in production until 1926 when Singer took them over. Next up, a stunning car here. This is a Lagonda LG45 from 1936, 4.5 litre engine. Over to VSCC Kerbera, and we've got UW2193, which is a 2 litre high chassis Lagonda from 1929. A split screen Morris Minor Traveller driving past. Delightful little light car here, XR8167. That's a new Carden, built in 1924. The VSCC event, and we've got a very original Austin 7 Chummy of the mid-1920s. The vintage Tourer, this one down at Prescott in the Orchard Car Park, BE8404 is a Fiat 509S, dating to 1926. And the very wet Prescott, UK 7351, is a Sunbeam 20 horsepower from 1929. That's got a 3.3 litre engine under its bonnet. Next up, a stunning Delage. Beautiful car, also spotted at one of the VSCC or Vintage Sports Car Club events at Prescott. Parked up is YV9263. That's a 1928 Bentley 4.5 litre car. Another wonderful Lagonda. This time we've got BGB 988. That's a Lagonda LG45R. Continuing with these vintage Tourers, we've got YP7880. That's an Elvis. I'm guessing that's probably a 1250. BF4924 was photographed in 2021. It's a Ford Model A dating to July of 1928. That has the 3.3 litre 4-cylinder engine. Back to Kerbera, an SV5344. That's a Buick D45 Tourer from 1916. Note the wooden wheels and lack of front brakes. Homegrown product now, we've got a flat rad Morris here. I think this is a Cowley, sort of circa 1929, 1930 or thereabouts. With Austin 7 Chummy here, HG9755. That car dates to 1926. It's an earliest one with the lamps on the scuttle. They were moved to the front wings a little bit later. Another stunning Tourer here, we've got an Elvis. This was also at a VSCC Kerbera meeting. Here's a mighty machine, YK4042. This is a Panhard A Levassor, a 6.3 litre car from 1924. Absolutely incredible looking car, this one. I've seen here at VSCC Kerbera. Another photo of it here at VSCC Prescott. What a stunning boat tail car that is. And carrying on with these vintage Tourers and other open top cars, we've got a 1913 Star, a 15.9 horsepower car at the Lakeland Motor Museum. JT6565 is a 4.5 litre Bentley, a Derby Bentley with Park Ward coachwork, and this Tourer dates to 1937. MB8175 is a 1925 Vauxhall 3098 Velox Tourer. Two photos now of a wonderful little car. This is a Bean, registration FD2111. This car was put on the road in March of 1923 and has the 11.9 horsepower rated engine. Horsepower as in RAC tax rating, not brake horsepower. There's a rear three-quarter view of the same Bean. Lovely little car, that one. If you know where any of these cars are now, or if perhaps you own one of them, please say hello in the comments. Next up, the Lakeland Motor Museum again. We've got a 1934, so just post-vintage Hilmer Minks drophead coupe. Very smart indeed. Wonderful, wonderful car next. TL2327 is a 1932 Invicta low chassis S-Type, and this was once owned by Raymond Mays, the racing driver, founder of ERA and the BRM motor racing companies. And here we've got XP5970, an AC Royal 12 horsepower Tourer from 1924. Lovely little Citroen now, DS6882. This is a Citroen Type C, 5CV or 5 horse. Lovely car, early 1920s. Over to Riley now, we've got CPP 707, that's a 1936 1.5 litre Riley Lynx. Definitely one of the oldest cars in this collection of photographs, a 1904 Berlier. Another fantastic vintage Tourer here. We've got GR9831. That's a Crossley 1530. This one was registered in December of 1924. Has a 2.4 litre engine. Crossley, a Manchester manufacturer. MT1126 is a Lee Francis 1440 P-Type Tourer. There are photographs around of this one taking part in a rally in Tokyo last year. Is it based over there, or was it just visiting? Another little light car here. This is a Peugeot SL9716. That's a Peugeot 172R Torpedo. Fabric body, dating to 1925. There's that Austin 7 Chummy alongside we saw before. Another early French car, XE9275, is a Renault GS. This is from 1921. This series of cars was produced between 1920 and 1925. Bugatti down at Prescott, a Bugatti Owners Club of course, a VXY3, it's a Bugatti Type 30 with a torpedo body by Carrosserie Moderne Strasbourg. Or words to that effect. DG1671 is another Alvis dating to the end of 1930, a 1.5 litre car. And a Rover now, GK3645, that's a Rover Meteor Special, dating to October of 1930, that's a 2 litre Tourer, very nice too, and Messerschmitt alongside it. To a VSCC rally in 2021, we've got UC2467, that's a 4.5 litre Bentley from 1928. The second photo now of YP7880. This is an Alvis, I believe a 1250 Tourer. The Lagonda AXK388. This is an example of a 3 litre Lagonda, registered in January of 1934. GW1559 is a mighty Bentley 8 litre. This one put on the road in December of 1932. It's a very, very imposing car. Somewhat less imposing is this bullnose Morris Cowley of the mid-1920s. A couple of petrol cans on the running board there. Another example of the Ford Model A, very popular choice for vintage events. Here we've got a fantastic maroon Sunbeam, Appears to have a drophead sort of coupe type bodywork on it. Back to Prescott, we've got UX3920. This is an Alpha 6C 1500 Roadster James Young coachwork, dating to 1929. Another fine old Alvis 1250 here. So the Lakeland Motor Museum, we've got a Deguingand Bouton, a single-cylinder 8-horse car, dating to 1907. Here's a real rarity, DGW344, is a British Samson 1479cc car from October 1936. About halfway through this collection of vintage Tourer photographs now. XV9156 is a Lee Francis. We've had one of those before. This is a little 2-seat, 2-door drophead, complete with dicky seat in the back. JW2035, that's a 1932 Sunbeam. Well travelled, judging by all the rally stickers on the bonnet. A Dodge, this is a late teens Dodge, a 4-cylinder 3.5 litre car, very similar to mine. Another French fancy here, a Delage WM5146, a D8 Cabriolet, this one, from 1930. If you're a fan of these vintage and post-vintage Tourers, 1920s, 1930s, please let me know in the comments. And a head-on view now of DB6390, another Alvis 1250, this one from 1925. So Austin now, WD5501, I think this is an Austin 10, May 1933, with the 1141cc 4-cylinder side valve engine under its bonnet. Slightly later Morris alongside. Here's a Star, a Pegasus-bodied Star of the late 1920s, about 1928 if memory serves. Lagonda again, HN6771. This is a 2-litre high chassis car dating to 1929. Slightly later Lagonda alongside it. Wonderful little Gwynne light car is next, BS8674 from 1924. That's got a 950cc engine. And sticking with Gwynne, I believe this is a very similar car, complete with a 2-gallon petrol can on the running board there, also of the early to mid 1920s. And this magnificent machine is a Zust Brixia. BO1520 is the registration of Zust Brixia from 1912 with a 4.7 litre engine. What a stunning car that is. DS8866 is a Bugatti Type 40, this car from 1929. This was spotted at Prescott at one of the La Vie en Bleu meetings, and this is a Mors, or Moore, M-O-R-S, it's a French manufacturer. Wonderful little Amel car here, YK98. This is an Amel car CGS, boat-tail bodied car from 1925. Still plenty of old Tourers to come. Next up, a side-on view of CXT596, which is a Lancia Astura from 1936. So you don't see these too often. This is a Donnet DS9919. It's a G2 Torpedo Lux from 1927, so late vintage. Vintage cars are up to and including 1930. Cars of the 30s are post-vintage. Next up, a Clino UY2946. This is a Clino 1228 from 1928. Lovely, lovely looking car. Over to a motor museum, and we've got another example of a bullnose Morris Cowley here from the mid-1920s. Back to Riley's. TJ 1332 is a 1933 Riley Lynx. There's a fascinating French machine. I won't even try and pronounce the name, but I've included a close-up of the radiator badge there at the bottom left. Vinot Deguingand, or something close to that. Talbot next time, 398 XAF, the 1933 Talbot, well-travelled car, London to Sydney, and many other endurance trips, quite a modified car. Here's a nice machine, DN6794. This is a Swift, a 10-horse Swift Q-Type from 1925. 4-seat tourer. Very nice too. Another Talbot, JJ8802, is a Talbot 105 series dating to 1933. YM57 now is a Bentley. This is a 3-litre, well, it started out life as a 3-litre speed model, but it was upgraded in the 1950s to 4.5-litre spec, a common conversion. A vintage Vauxhall Tourer in the foreground, the 3098, fronts this huge collection of vintage cars at VSCC Prescott a few years ago. It's a nice machine, GE5411. This is a Hotchkiss, an AM80 Landaulet from 1929. Really smart little car, this one. YO9550 is a Humber 920 Tourer from 1926. I do like the look of the Humbers, I must confess. Very smart windscreen. There's another one as well, MK9593. This is a Humber, but this is a 1225 from 1926. Another wonderful vintage Tourer here. This is quite an early machine. This is a Gregoire, a 15-horse car from 1912. Absolutely stunning car, that is. Back to Prescott, WN8515 is a Singer-based special dating to 1934. This is listed as having a 3.3-litre Ford engine, which I assume started life under the bonnet of a Ford Model A. A nice one here, we've got a Sunbeam UK5241, the Sunbeam 20.9 horsepower, built in 1928. This was at VSCC Alton Park. Nice early Vauxhall now. I don't quite remember where this was taken, this particular photograph, possibly Prescott again, but if you've got any more information on this early Vauxhall, please pop a note in the comments. Citroën B12 Tourer from 1927 is next. Very smart, neat little car. Just a few more Tourers and open-top cars to go. Next up, BF5463, that's a Talbot from October of 1923. And the wonderful Italian car now, Alfa Romeo YY709, that's an Alfa Romeo 6C 1750. Good old Austin here. I think this is probably an Austin 12 or a heavy 12.4, a Tourer of the late vintage period. Here's an American Dodge, a few years later than mine, SV9880. It's a Dodge Victory 6, that's a 1928 car, a 6-cylinder side valve engine. And rounding out this collection of Tourers, we have a mighty Cadillac, an American Cadillac. I can't quite see the date on that little plaque on the bulkhead there. but it's a magnificent, magnificent car. And that rounds out this collection of photographs featuring vintage Tourers, drophead coupes of the 1910s, 1920s and 1930s. Thanks very much for watching this video. There are loads of videos now on the Old Classic Car channel, so please have a look around before you disappear, and there'll be more videos along very, very soon. So bye for now.